In this video, we're going to consider some of the time-sensitive aspects of Sirca Home Developer, and we're following up from the previous video where we looked at the importance of using a cash flow model in development feasibility, and therefore the knock-on impacts that time would have on land values. So let's just click through to our summary page of the cash flow model of Sirca. It takes us through to our content section, and we can see that section number 4 is development timing, and just to the right of that we have some subsections which will contain information that we can look at and influence that help us build up a picture of the overall development timing of a project, which is shown on this summary. So let's click through to the summary. And we can see that on this page, it's a one-page summary, we can see that we have broad categories of areas of development, and underneath those we have main categories, subcategories of work. And then just to the right of that we have the assessed start and end periods, and then that is translated into weeks. If we just look just to the right, we can see a graphical representation of this, and we have preparation, design, construction, and use. And all of these categories and these summaries here are by reference to the Royal Institute of British Architects, the RIBA, plan of work. So let's just go onto the internet now, and we've carried out an online search, and it will bring up resources for the RIBA plan of work. So this particular website is produced by the RIBA for education of architects and training architects, and we can see here we have our preparation, our design, our pre-construction, construction and use, and then stages A, B, C and the like, and then the broad categories of what you can expect, type of work you can expect to be carried out under these headings. And then here there's some more detail to give us a better idea of what to expect. So let's go back to our model, and if we look up to the toggle buttons, we can see that sandwiched between the previous and the next pages we have a subsection button that we can use. So clicking on the white boxes will take us through to a subsection, and this page is a summary. Is the same as the summary we've seen before in a different format, and it's more of a graphical representation. And here we can see we have a chart. It's called a Gantt chart, and it just helps us to visualize this data in a much easier to use and look at format. So just to note that the grey boxes here, these will represent holiday periods and periods when there is no work being carried out on the developments or any aspects of the developments. So let's just scroll through to the next section, and we can see that our main headings on our summary page and now have further, more detailed underlined sections that help us build up to our start and end periods. So if we just look here, we have these grey boxes, and in this section of the grey boxes all the way down we have alternate duration, and that means that if there is a date that the model has provided that we don't agree with, or we've researched it and we think that the day should be changed, then we can do that. So let's just say this is a 1-day period. Let's just change that to 100 days just to demonstrate. And we can see now that that 1 day has moved up to 143. That's because this date here, 100, is actually work days, and this period here is work days plus weekends, any bank holidays and any holiday days. And then that has impacted on the start and end periods. So we can see there that there's a big difference to what was there before, and then that will then feed through to all the other dates working through the model. So let's just put it back to the what was there before. So let's just delete that. And then if we just look to the right here, we have again a Gantt chart, a visual representation of the information that is here. And let's just change that again, and let's just put in 20 days now into that line instead of 1. And we can see that the visual representation gets updated, and again we can see that the grey boxes, which here will represent weekends, public holidays and any holidays and the like, that gets updated, and all our timings follow through as well. So let's just delete that and go back to the model, and we can see that the chart will then update itself again. So all of these grey boxes allow us to change the days, and then all of these boxes here allow us to change the start period for this particular activity, because the end period is dictated by these days here, and we can change those. So we can do that for all of these sections and subsections apart from one, which is the construction works, and the construction works starts at stage K of the RIBA plan of work, and it finishes at stage L, the practical completion stage. And that's because if we scroll back up and we go to the next section, we can see that construction timing actually has its own detail page, and the construction work is made up of lots of individual stages that will flow through the entire period of construction. So this will give us a reasonably good estimates of what works will be carried out and how long they'll take and when they will start and finish. And again, we can see that we can change the dates, or we can make our own assessments. So by doing that, we can see that we have a knock-on impact on all of these days. So the reason why we have all this is that the Sirca model itself will have a database for duration periods and starts and finish periods according to these works here, and the type of property that we choose, whether we choose a large detached house or a small bungalow or a terraced house, they will all have their own different work stages, the time that those work stages will take according to the type of property, and therefore the duration of the project will differ for the different types of options that we choose. Now that's important because it means then that the finance cost, the construction finance cost, will be adjusted according to the size of the property and how long we think particular aspects will take. And there are other aspects of the Sirca model that will also be time specific, such as the procurement routes. So procurement is the type of way that we get the project constructed. So we can either do it on a self-build basis, we can use a contractor, we can employ subcontractors, or we can use a package option such as design and build. And these are all important because the way that you approach the construction will change the duration and when you start the projects and how you organize or project manage the actual projects itself. There are other areas that are time specific, such as whether you use a timber for the frame or whether you use the brick and blockwork approach to building the structure of the building. So all these things will have a knock-on impact on areas such as the financing of land. The longer a project takes, the more finance we will have to, the more interest we'll pay on land finance, and also the construction lending as well. And also there are other aspects of construction work in particular which are influenced by time, such as the construction overheads, which are called preliminaries. So the longer it takes to build a project, the more costs we will incur in terms of the construction overheads. So that's a very quick introduction to the development timing aspects of this model. And as we can see that these are relevant for feeding into the cash flow approach, because that will then have an impact on the development feasibility. So that's a very quick overview. We'll finish there, and we'll look at a different aspect of Sirca model next time round.